Here we go. Hey, welcome to the Sports Wrap. George and Ringer.
Lots of sports.
After a week off, we Tim needed a week off, so make sure you take care of yourself. That's my lesson for the week.
Well, and it's really important. I mean, it's going to get more important in the next few months, and they're all coming in there. I hope you've had your flu shot. I've certainly had mine. I listen to my wife because she's a lot more careful than I would be, but I listen to every word. So, you really do have to take care of yourself.
Let's talk about some old stuff that we probably would have talked about last week.
Sure.
So first we'll talk about the Stanley Cup Finals.
Yes.
And Tampa Bay took care of Dallas. And I think when we did the show a couple weeks ago, I talked about Stamkos coming back. He only played in the one game.
That's it.
But he seemed to give him a spark and then didn't play the rest of the way. But Tampa was the team to beat, and I think in the end they showed that they were the team to beat, and probably the best team won, which doesn't always happen.
No, I just am constantly amazed that all these teams are southern teams. I mean, in the old days there was nothing south of Chicago.
Yeah.
And then and I was talking to Joy. We were talking about the St. Louis Cardinals at baseball at the time. St. Louis was the furthest south team.
Sure.
And so the southern migration, everybody from the north started going down there, and the sports went with it.
Twins, we got to talk about the Twins so briefly because since we were on the show last, they won the AL Central.
They did.
In quite exciting fashion, which was pretty cool, and established the best home record in baseball, and then got to play a home series to open the playoffs, as we already all know, and then laid an absolute egg against the Astros, who, at this point, just lost for the first time in the playoffs. Their game with the A's just got over.
And I talked to the guru, and I says, "Are you going to tell me Houston's going to go into the World Series or go into the finals?" Yeah, it looks like that. And and somebody said, Dusty Baker, one of the most beloved men in baseball, only he could manage the Houston Astros, are the most hated team in baseball.
They are the most hated team, there's no doubt about that.
But they are playing very good baseball right now, and there's no denying it.
The scary part, the thing that frustrates me is Kenta Maeda and Barrios both pitched decent games.
Yes.
What did we give up, 6 runs or 7 runs in 2 games? The problem was with the Bomba squad, we only scored 2 runs. And I think we only had 2 or 3 hits in the first game, and I don't know how many we got in the second game because I was traveling last week. But the Twins have lost 18 straight playoff games. Somebody went and did the math on this. Somebody went and did the math on this. If you flip the coin 18 times, what are the chances that you would get 18 heads or 18 tails, whichever way you want to look at a loss, in a row?
That's hard.
It's very difficult. It's one in hundreds of thousands. Over 100,000. To think that the Twins have pulled this off, and the worst part about it is they lost at home, where I think they went 24-6 or 23-7,
yep.
And I'm just like, anyway.
What do you think? As they say, going forward, there's going to be some changes on this team.
There's going to be some changes on this team. I think with Nelson Cruz, I think things start there. I think a lot of the dominoes will fall from there. They're going to look at him. He was not 100% healthy at the end of the season. I think they're going to look at it. He wants to come back, he said. But I think once that time kind of rolls around, mid-December, late November, the Twins are going to look at it and say, look, where do we think Nelson Cruz is going to be at? Because if we're not going to have him as our DH, who's going to be our DH? Who's going to do that? Well, that could be Josh Donaldson.
It could, and Donaldson's not going to go anywhere.
He's not going anywhere. He's got signed for too much money. I don't think they'll trade him, obviously. So Donaldson seems to be a little nicked up from playing third base. So does he become your DH? Okay. Now what does that do? Well, now you've got to open up a spot at third base. Do you put Miguel Sano back over at third base and go find yourself a first baseman, or is it easy to find a third baseman? I don't think Eddie Rosario's with this team.
I think Rosario is gone as well.
Kepler's open to possibly being moved or going someplace else. Some people think he's going to stay. I think Max Kepler is going to be gone. That's just because somebody's going to offer him more money than the Twins are willing to offer him. I think he'd like to stay with the Twins. I really do. But the Twins have got some guys. I know they're talking about Jake Cave will be gone. Had maybe his worst year at the plate this year in the 3 years that he's been with the Twins. But son of a gun, he can play everywhere.
He can.
And he just seems to come in and fill in. Marwin Gonzalez, we brought him in from Houston. Just never was able to do the things that he did at Houston. Bang, bang, bang. Maybe had something to do with that. So Marwin Gonzalez will be gone. So now you need that utility infielder type of thing. They're saying Ehire Adrianza is probably gone. He's 31 and just, time is passing by. So this Twins team is going to change. There's no doubt about it. Where's Byron Buxton fit into this? The guy cannot stay healthy. Now he's got concussions. We even tried to whatever. So there's some things. The scary part about this, the pitching staff might be the sanest part of this team, and that's always been the biggest question mark.
Well, I'll tell you, I never thought at the beginning of this season when you took a look at this team, and of course, me and Sid Hartman thought that maybe this is one of the best Twins teams ever, and they weren't a bad team. They just relied way too much on home runs, and then of course, here it was, one of the best defensive teams in baseball, blew just a lousy out.
Yeah, and I didn't see I didn't see the Polanco throw. That was during the football practice, and I heard about it, and it sounded like it was pretty bad. And so, well,
that wasn't the way you figure a good team would get taken down.
Yeah,
but that in fact is the way good teams are taken down.
Yeah, and of course, in a normal year, being a Central Division champs, they probably would have had a 5-game series. Could things have worked out differently? Coulda, woulda, shoulda.
Different.
Yeah. So.
Oh no, I'll tell you, they were fun to watch. It's just that, but it's kind of like in basketball: live by the 3, die by the 3.
Live by the home
run. And there it come because there's some people out there that can hit dingers. I mean, on everybody's team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just ask George Springer. He knows how. He knows how to hit them for Houston. And,
yes, he does.
So, would you like to stay with Minnesota sports? Would you like to talk about what the Wild did? I'm kind of done with the old news. You got anything else you want to talk about? What you got something else you want to talk about?
I have right over here 2 Canadians go 1-2, and the draft was huge. So here we have this young man, Marco
Rossi from Austria. Good people come from Austria. Let me just say that.
And he's a center man, and he seems to be confident. And he seems to think that he can come in and play that center position, which they need scoring.
After what Bill Guerin did over the last 3 days, I don't see how Marco Rossi doesn't get a great chance to play for this team.
Oh, I think he does, yes.
Ryan Donato played everywhere, was kind of a fourth line guy. I really never got a fair shake. I like the guy, but they traded him to the Sharks. A few hours later, he trades Devin Dubnyk to the Sharks. So now we're supposedly don't have a number 1 goalie. Well, Dubnyk was not a number 1 goalie.
At that?
That they traded Dubnyk?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
I think that opens up places for Stalock and Kakinen to fill in those spots. I think that's what they're going with. They like this Kakinen kid and see what he's going to do there. I think that's what they're going to go with.
Well, here one of the sublines here is pool of available talent gives Wild options to plan for short and long term. So there must be goalies out there.
Yeah, they're looking for a goalie, and I think they were talking about trying to get Mark Fleury from Vegas.
Oh, my grandson would love that.
That's still something that could be worked out. Of course, Eric Stahl was traded a few weeks ago. Mikko Koivu was released. And then today, he did it again. He traded Luke Cunnin, another fourth-line guy, third-line guy. Some people were saying he might be this new captain of the team type of thing on that forward line. But somebody said this on Twitter today. I saw it during lunch, and they said Cunnin was never going to be more than a third-line centerman. And right now, the Wild need top-notch guys. And so,
Years ago when they put together that Las Vegas team, I was talking to a hockey person and I just said, where did they get their players? And they said, well, they shuffled around, but they were looking for those fourth line guys, because a lot of times on a hockey team, a young man comes in. Now he isn't going to be popping off that first guy in the first 2 or 3 lines. So he comes in. He's probably only getting 8 or 10 minutes, or maybe 12 minutes a game, and all of a sudden he goes back and where did he come from? Well, he's tripled his play time, and he's getting a lot more opportunities. Sure. And I think I see that in the hockey. I mean, when you're on the third or fourth line in the NFL, you're on the third or fourth line. There's 3 great big guys that want to be in front of him.
Yeah.
But hockey, they seem to have that. And goalies, too. I mean, what? Geez, he just got hammered last week. And the next week, he looks like an all-star. Yeah. So it's... I just see an awful lot of really young talent here, and watching TV today, I thought that this Rossi kid might fit in real well.
Guerin has talked about the fact that he wants to change the culture of this team. Of course, it hit close to home when he let Bob Mason go as goalie coach.
Yes,
and the culture change is continuing. He apparently looked at this team and said, "Who are some of the people that we need to get rid of? That we need to go because they aren't going to do this, or this." And I know you probably read Souhan's article in the Minneapolis paper today. I couldn't read it. I was like, I don't need this much negativity and everything else. Everybody's a gambler. Some of these things pay off. Some of them don't. One of the biggest things was letting Mikko Koivu go. That was the one thing. And there might have been some players who went in and told Guerin, "You're an idiot." And he said, "Fine, I'm an idiot, and now you're going to play for another team." So any of these guys, I'm not saying they did it. I'm not saying that. But I wouldn't doubt that they were brought in or they came in and said, "Hey, we don't like what's going on." And Bill said, "Hey, no problem. I'll find somebody who'll take you for a 5th-round draft pick or a 7th-round draft pick or whatever, and I'll pick up some guy and we'll go from there." So, We have talked about that the Wild needed to hit rock bottom. Unfortunately, they didn't get a top 3 pick, which would have been much nicer. But they got a number 9 pick, and so we'll see what happens. I'm excited to see what happens. Gary Bettman did announce yesterday that they're looking for a January 1st start date to the season. So think about this now. This is October 7th. NHL hockey probably would have had their opening night tonight or tomorrow night if things would have been normal. Now we're pushing it back almost 3 months. So now do they compress the season to, say, 50 games so that they can start their playoffs at the regular time so they can get the 21-22 season started? Do they need to think about bubbles? How are they going to do this? Are there going to be fans? There's lots of stuff. So, but the NHL had the day 2 of their draft today, and we'll see what happens.
All in all, I think the bubble technique that the NHL and indeed what the NBA put up have been pretty effective. It's just that you can't bubble everybody, apparently.
Yeah, and the NFL's running into some problems. We might as well address that because the Titans have had some issues. I think they're up to like 18 players and personnel that have been tested positive. New England has run into some issues. Cam Newton, and I heard another one, I believe, here in the last day or two. And so now all of a sudden they're talking, is the NFL going to have to put their season maybe on hiatus or hold, because how do you try to get these teams to have an even number of games? Because if you've got 3 or 4 teams sitting out 1 to 2 games while we get to the end of the season, well, this team's got 14, this one's got 16, this one's got 15. How do we decide who's in the playoffs?
A lot of double Monday nights.
Yeah, a lot of double Monday nights like what we saw, although that was great if you're a fan.
Yeah.
I mean, it was all right, even though I didn't even stay up for the second one because we knew that was going to be a throttling, but unfortunately.
Yeah, it was.
But the whole virus thing, so where should we go next?
Listen, I've got college we can talk about. We can
talk basketball. We can talk baseball. There's all kinds of stuff to talk about. My goodness, we've been gone for so long that
Yeah, we've got some good things and some bad things to talk about, but let's go right to. Oh, yeah.
Oh, look at he's got so many notes he can't even find his way through.
I wanted to mention one thing about before we left baseball.
Yeah, we'll
That's the Braves beat Miami, and Rod Acuna, rookie, young first leadoff hitter youngest leadoff hitter to ever hit a playoff home run.
Okay.
And he flipped his bat.
That was not a very popular decision.
That was a really bad one, and other people said, it turned into how did they used to say, a rhubarb or a bench clearing, a Donnybrook,
a melee.
I read in the paper they called this a dust up.
Oh,
so they had
nice.
a little dust up.
That sounds a little bit better.
And then people were saying, I think that we can rest assured, Atlanta and Miami do not like each other. And I'm thinking they're getting a lot of these incredible rivalries going on, especially, Atlanta and Miami, they're not that far apart.
Not that far apart.
It's so that thing, and that thing is...
Atlanta leads 2-0 at this time. They won this afternoon.
They won this afternoon.
And then LA and San Diego last night.
I tell you,
I honestly, that game got started and Tim was in bed. That was like 8:30 last night. I'm just like, there's no point. I'm not even going to try. But I would love to stay up and watch San Diego and LA, but I'm not going to stay up till midnight to watch the end of it.
No, you can't.
I'm too old.
No, I put my leg up and I'll say, I'll just rest my eyes for a second.
Yeah.
And then Sue, why don't you turn it off and go to bed? No, it happens like that. No, so. And also, Tampa Bay and New York, they're 1-1. People are slugging the heck out of the baseball, and I mean, we face it, we all want Tampa Bay to win, but
yeah. And the A's, yeah.
Oh no,
and the Oakland A's, we don't want the
Oakland A's. No, yeah. I love the Oakland A's, and so what did I also have about them?
The A's are down 2-1, and as we mentioned, 1-1. Go ahead.
Giancarlo Stanton, right? He's been swatting the heck out of the ball lately. He has joined Lou Gehrig and Reggie Jackson in homing in 4 consecutive games. And he hit 2 the other day, both over 450s. They're just smacking it. I think the Dodgers and the Padres, I think the Dodgers are probably the best team in baseball.
Do they finally get their World Series title, though? Do they finally get it?
This part I don't know, but all 4 of them played today, and all 4 of them play again on whatever it takes on
Thursday.
On Thursday, and so we'll know where it comes down. But if the Yankees and Houston both arrive,
I won't even watch the AL if they're both in there. Honestly, I will not. I will not turn it on. I will not care. I will not watch it. I won't. So. Tampa Bay, if you want me to watch any baseball going forth, you must beat the Yankees. Period. Okay.
A little college football. How about
you want to talk about college football?
I want to talk about Trey Lance.
Okay, let's talk about Trey Lance.
I watched the highlight film of him the other day. You forget how big he is.
Yeah.
He's 6'4". He's as big as a buffalo, and people, and he's fast.
And he's fast.
And so I'm reading some of the emails today, reflecting on whether or not he would be the first round pick, and they're saying, you certainly can't compare him with Trevor. And he goes on and on, and how can you do that? And I thought, well, let's see. He's about the same size, maybe a little bigger. He runs at least as well. Whether or not he has the throwing arm, hard to say, but he's young, and that's going to get stronger. I think that I think old Trey's got a good chance of doing this.
I'm not a doubter. I think he should have played one more. I think he should have waited one more year.
Yeah, I think.
I think. Here's what I think is going to happen, and I could be wrong, and I've been wrong before about this kind of stuff. He's going to go through all his draft stuff and teams are going to evaluate him. And I'm going to say somebody's going to take a chance on him at about 20 to 30. Somebody's going to say, you know what? This is a good risk. Well, there's a first-round pick. It might be a whatever. Maybe it'll be a second-round pick.
What, he had 286 passes last year? Zero interceptions?
He didn't do that on Saturday, though. He had
didn't.
an INT. But what I'm trying to say is, I think if he'd have played one more year, played that spring season next year, and then played another fall season, which I guess that works out to 2 more seasons.
Yeah.
But the point that I'm trying to make here is, and he could have come out after the spring season and come out as a free agent and whatever else. But I think if he played another season, if this had been a full season, and then played one more season, so
he could really be a dominating football player.
I think the difference between money, 20 to 30, you're going to get guaranteed so many $1 million. Let's say 10. Let's put that number out there. If you're a top 5 pick, which I think he could be if he played 2 more seasons and really got everybody jacked up like a Carson Wentz did and everything else, I'm thinking he could be talking $50 million guaranteed. So take your chances. It's a gamble either way. And he's listening to his people and go do it. Good luck, man.
And the one thing that you and I have stressed all the time. How is he so successful? Well, number one, he has an offensive tackle, Dylan Radunz. And Radunz is 6'6", 300 pounds. He allowed 0 sacks last year.
Not too shabby.
No, he's going to be setting himself up for the draft.
Did you hear where he went to high school at?
No.
He went to school at Becker.
Becker? Oh.
Dirty buggers.
Yeah.
And you know what his head coach, Dwight Lundeen, who has coached for 50 years, said about this lineman that you're talking about? The best overall football player I ever coached.
Wow.
50 years. The best overall player he ever coached. That's an offensive lineman that he's talking about right there, folks. So think about that. I mean, they've had some pretty good talent that's come out of there. Some pretty good kids.
Good linemen.
But obviously an NFL-bound lineman in there. So you can talk about that, But not a lot of coaches will say the best player they ever had was a lineman.
Well, they just kind of spotlighted him. As I saw him on ESPN, and I thought, well, just keep an eye on this guy. And he's such incredible shape. I mean, 6'6", 300 pounds, and he looks lean. He looks like and just moves so well. Anyway, it's one of those things that Trey could count on. And a lot of quarterbacks can count on those good linemen that they had at NDSU.
Yeah.
Speaking of linemen, Connor Olson, he's offensive tackle for the Minnesota Gophers, Minnesota boy, outstanding. He's an outstanding student. Is a finalist for the Campbell Trophy for the absolute best football player athlete, combined with academic success. Football performance and exemplary leadership. Now, Connor Olson, he's already graduated. He's going to graduate school, and he's taking these incredible mathematical science courses. Why? To prepare for medical school. And I want to see, 6'6", he comes walking in. I'm going to do surgery on you. I mean, this guy, and I think he's really one of those super special kids. And, I just wanted to, a lot of times we talk about the quarterbacks and the wide receivers and the running backs. I love those offensive linemen.
Yes,
so
we
do you.
Yes,
also, the Gophers come out today, 25th in the nation, and they haven't hit a dummy yet.
And, of course, they got their wide receiver back.
And they got their wide receiver back.
They got Rashad Bateman back.
Yes, they do. But they lost one, too. They lost their third stringer, or at least, I
didn't hear about this. Yeah. What happened?
Oh, he just said that he was going to opt out.
Oh,
and I'm not so sure about Big Dan either.
Yeah.
I mean, the pros are going to be looking at him very, very closely. If he could get a little bit more motion, and the pros have a tendency to be able to do that.
Yeah, absolutely, they can do that.
Yeah.
So the one thing that I found out, I watched very little college football on Saturday.
Yes.
One thing that I do know,
yes.
Alabama's still pretty good.
Alabama's still very good, And the other thing is,
I didn't think they could do that to Texas A&M after what happened the week before with LSU and everything else. I didn't know that they were going to do it that harshly, but they did, and apparently Alabama, a little chip on the shoulder after a couple losses last year.
Well, there's some people, I mean, Texas wasn't happy, Oklahoma wasn't happy, and of course, for us, who cares? And so it's just, and Auburn took a pretty good shellacking.
Yes, they did.
And I noticed from Georgia, they have a couple of defensive tackles.
Okay.
That really dominate the
front
line of scrimmage. And it's just, and they watch that, and I just thought, they've been growing these guys. They're sophomores now. They've been growing them down there. They're both 300-pounders, and they both run well and hit like a ton, and all expect to get rich someday. So Georgia has a very good football team right now.
Be interesting to see how it's all going to play out.
Yes.
That's for sure. So, yeah, it'd be good. The Gophers, about 2.5 weeks before they get a chance to play for the Little Brown Jug in Michigan, and I'm sure we'll talk more about that in the shows to come.
Yes, that's for sure.
What else from college football? Anything last week? How did Army do?
Army.
I honestly watched so little last Saturday that I really don't know what happened.
Yeah, Army played Aberdeen Christian, and Aberdeen Christian, they to start their program, they go over and they grab top shelf community college players. And some of these guys are not bad.
Sure.
And it's and so they come on juniors, and so they give Army a pretty good rust. The quarterback for Abilene, Texas, both of his parents went to Army. His dad was a hockey player for Army. His mother was a volleyballer or a basketballer or something. But he's been coming. This guy's been coming to Army since he was to the game since he was a little boy. And at the end of the game, Army goes to one end and they sing the alma mater.
Yep.
And you could see this guy, and the other team generally goes with him. And this quarterback for Abilene Christian was just singing the alma mater because he had done it for many, many times, and he was singing it for his parents. So that was kind of cool. Now, you always pick up one or two things about the rushing attack when you watch Army, and It goes without saying, if you can control the fullback, if you can control the triple option sweep, you got a good chance of beating them. If you can't do either one of those, it might be a long afternoon.
It'll be a long afternoon. Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah.
One other thing I did learn last week is Oklahoma. Lost to Iowa State, lost to K-State, 2 in a row.
Yeah, it's. I'll tell you what, the Sooners are in pretty rough shape, and you're watching them, and of course you're pulling for the underdog.
Yeah.
And at Iowa State, I mean, are you kidding? That's almost next door. Besides, when else are you going to cheer for an Iowa team? And
very rarely.
But very rarely. But they were coming in there. I think they were overconfident. And Iowa State's been pulling an upset or two every year or so. So and Kansas State too. You don't know when these teams are going to yank one.
I did get to see the end of the Iowa State game. I don't even know how that's even possible with what happened on Saturday. But they were interviewing the coach, and he's not a rah-rah as much as PJ Fleck, but he reminded me of the things that he was saying in the post-game interview, like PJ Fleck, about getting respect and doing the things right. And we're not a good team yet, but we're going to get better every day. And blah 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 blah. And he kept saying the same thing over and over for every question, with basically the same answer. We're going to get better. And he just rephrased it a little bit with one or two different words. So he's got his keys that he's pounding on those kids with, just like Fleck does.
Well, and I'll tell you the other thing, and I wasn't going to bring it up because I really don't have a note on it, but you play in Trice Stadium at Iowa State.
Yeah.
And Trice in 1924 was one of the few black football players in the Big Ten. And in 1924, they had a game at the university in Minnesota and at Memorial Stadium, and he was hit and suffered internal injuries, and he was killed, and he died. These days, they'd have rushed him, got an X-ray, he'd have been in surgery, he'd have been fine in an hour. So, but they put him on the train to take him back, and by the time that he got there, he was so sick they brought him to the hospital, and within a couple of days he passed. But here it was, 1924. Well, 1997, when the student body petitioned and in fact insisted that that Iowa State
Renamed
renamed the stadium to Trice Stadium, and I just saw it, and they had pictures of this guy, and he was lineman and a big guy. He was just head and shoulders above everybody else, and you could just see, you can see those guys when they run out of the tunnel.
Yeah.
I don't want to hit him. Yeah.
So let's go to pro football as long as we're at the college football.
Let's do that.
The Vikes get their first win on Sunday. I think I don't want to say too much about this, but I think I need to start watching the games because it seems like the more I watch, the better the Vikings do. So I watched pretty much the entire first half, and then in the second half, Eli and I went for a bike ride right at halftime, and we didn't get home until Houston was inside of the 10-yard line, ready to put.
Yeah, don't ever leave.
Ready to put the game into overtime, and I'm like, good grief, Tim, you shouldn't leave. You should have. Anyway, it has nothing to do with me. Boy, I'll tell you, Delvin Cook has looked good the last couple of weeks, and Justin Jefferson has also looked pretty good the last 2 weeks.
Justin Jefferson is a really fine receiver, and Pat Ruzzi said Aaron Rodgers will never have a chance to turn this guy into, to use his magic.
Yeah.
But he did one of those backflips. I'll tell you the other guy that used, just kind of flipped around and picked that one up. Remind me of Riley. I mean, that is a very difficult thing to do, especially when you got these guys climbing all over you. And, I think Justin Jefferson is going to be a dandy.
Yeah, I know some of the Buffalo Bill fans this week were rubbing it in about Stephon Diggs doing so well out in Buffalo.
I'm glad for that. He was always going to be a good receiver.
Always going to be a good receiver. It just wasn't going to be here anymore.
Yeah.
And I think we've got somebody who can replace him. That's why they drafted him where they did. So good for that. Houston fires Bill O'Brien on Monday after the 0-4 start. They had just made him the general manager in January. Then he makes the trade of the receiver to Arizona. And Deshaun Watson.
Ooh.
Woof, woof. Oh, my.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, folks. They just signed him for like $100 million, right?
Well,
for
no,
4 years?
It did. And if I would have picked the top 6 or 8 quarterbacks in the league, he has all these skills. But boy, I'll tell you what, he left them down in Houston.
Oh, he looked horrible. Yeah. He looked awful. I don't know if it was too much pressure. Here's the thing this is my perception of it, okay? What kind of a quarterback is he? He's a running quarterback. What did it look like he was not supposed to do in that football game? He was not supposed to break the line of scrimmage and run the football. At all costs, you are going to throw the football. You are not going to cross the line of scrimmage. You are not a running quarterback. We are going to turn you into a drop back passer, and we are going to make you do these things from the pocket. And even if you scramble, you still can't cross the line of scrimmage because you're going to throw that football. And I'm like, the poor guy is so confused.
That's what he's been making his bread and butter on for years.
That's what he's been doing. So now we're going to take let's take Delvin Cook and tell him, well, sorry, you can't make any stop cuts. I'm sorry, they're off because they're unhealthy for your knees. We can't have you doing that. As soon as they let Deshaun Watson do the things that Deshaun Watson was God-given, he'll be a whole lot better football player.
Well, he will.
And Houston might even win a game.
They will.
How bad's the NFC East? Or should I call them the NFC least?
Oh, well, I'm not sure they're not as bad as the NFC East.
Yeah.
Oh, that's bad.
That's bad.
Oh, that's.
I'll tell you what, I thought.
That's why I thought Dallas was going to be able to scoop the whole deal. Is because,
well, they'll probably make the playoffs, but they might only have like 6 wins or something.
Yeah. Well, no, and all the pundits in the morning just shake their head. No, that's the worst division in football. There's no too much about it. No.
Yeah. It's kind of scary. Tampa, big comeback. It looked like the Chargers were going to put a hurt on them, and then Brady performed some magic and came back. And Cleveland 3-1 put a big hurt on your Dallas Cowboys. I say your Dallas Cowboys because anyway. And then Dallas almost came back after being scored 24 straight in the fourth quarter, and then the COVID, and so the NFL was kind of exciting this weekend.
It was.
I did watch I did watch a little bit of it more than I have over the past few days. So.
Well, and then the other night, Aaron Rodgers is playing out of his mind.
Yeah, what has he got? 13 touchdowns in the first 4 games, I think, something like that.
Something like that. And of course, the Vikings are heading off to Seattle this week.
Bad news.
Wilson is really playing well.
The Vikings have, and they always seem to have to go to Seattle. I'm not
Yes.
sure exactly how that works, but it does. Yeah, the Vikings are going to be 1-4. I'm not even going to. I know they play Sunday night, but I figure I'm going to be in bed at halftime and sawing logs because that game is going to be over. I hope they prove me wrong. Yeah, it doesn't look good for the Vikes, but hey, if you're going to get back to the top, you got to take down some of those top teams.
Oh, they do, and they can be beat too.
Yeah.
I just Seattle's got a very good team, and I watched them play the other day, and I thought, you know, if there was ever a team that that could win this whole thing that I've seen thus far, it could probably be Seattle. Although they got to beat off Kansas City, and Kansas City, I mean. I'm saying Patrick Mahomes right now. He's like Harry Potter back there.
Did you say St. Patrick Mahomes?
Oh, he's flipping from one side to the other. I mean, I have never seen anybody do this.
Flipping underhand.
Yeah, it's just yeah, he's amazing to watch, and they've got a good team, and they're the champs, and pull them off the hill if you can.
And think about this: New England held them to 6 points till there was less than a minute left in the third quarter. So how good was the chess match between Belichick and Andy Reid on Monday night? It was a
Belichick is a fine defensive coach, and the Patriots, they probably don't have that offensive weapons that they had before, but that defense still isn't bad.
defense isn't bad. I know they ended up giving up 26 or 29.
Yeah,
but,
which is a lot of
but like I
points for
said,
them.
six through basically 3 quarters.
Yeah.
Gotta like it. Couple of college hockey notes before I forget. Big Ten announced that they're going to start November 13th.
24 games?
24-game schedule.
Hey, no North Dakota, no UMD, no Bemidji, and I just thought, man, that regional, rivalries, what sold college hockey to me up here,
Yeah.
and so I feel real bad about that. Arizona State,
Yeah.
so they're going to play Arizona State instead of North Dakota. I'm.
The NCHC is supposed to start the following week. We'll see if that all happens. I'd like to think that they might let me come watch a UMD hockey game at some point this season, but I'm not holding my breath on that. But college hockey just around the corner. Of course, I would have been going to watch the Icebreaker tournament this weekend down at the Amsoil Friday and Saturday night. I had tickets for both nights, and of course that got canceled, and I'm disappointed and sad and all that other stuff. So, quick French Open down to the semifinals.
Yes.
The least talked about, as far as I'm concerned, Grand Slam. But of course, they let some fans in, and then the women's side went nuts. The upsets went galore. The women, Kenin from the United States, the number 4 ranked player, she's the top player. She plays Kvitova, which is probably the championship match, you would think, but that's going to be played tomorrow. And then these are 2 women I've never heard of before, because one was a qualifier, and she's into the semifinals, and it's Podoreskev and Swiatek. So I don't even know. And then in the men's side,
Are they from the range?
Yeah.
Probably. I mean,
they could. Yeah, those
be.
names could be there.
be from the range.
Nadal, of course, into his 75th straight French Open semifinals. He takes on Schwartzman, and Tsitsipas takes on Djokovic, who made it in today. Dropped a set for the first time, I think, in a while. But that'll be on this weekend. You want to talk WNBA or NBA first?
It doesn't.
Let's talk WNBA because
Okay. Seattle.
Vegas beat Seattle right at the end of the regular season to get the number 1 seed, and then they went out with a whimper.
Yeah, they did.
Seattle just absolutely destroyed
Hammered them.
Brianna Stewart and Sue Bird are 2 horses. I don't know.
Super's 40 years
I was
old.
going to say she's like 107, I think. Yeah,
Well,
she's pretty old,
Yeah.
but still seem to be able to get the job done. And Seattle, WNBA champions, 3-0 over
The
Vegas.
only thing that upset me is that I remember when she was a kid.
Yeah, true.
She was good then too.
She was good then.
Yeah.
NBA, the Lakers had 3-1 over the Heat.
Well, I'll tell you, it's one of the things where LeBron has reached the max, and he's not going to be denied. When that big guy starts slowing down, I mean, I watched him the other night, 11 assists. He's looking for that open man all the time coming down the court. And talk about coming down the court. Who wants to get in the way of that when he's going to the hoop?
No, I can understand that.
That could be a career-ending type deal. So you have to make up these decisions. On the other hand, the Heat is playing very well, and my new favorite friend, of course, is remember, a hero is more than a sandwich, and Tyler Hero is really a fun kid to watch. Sure. And I might have seen him once last year. Well, I mean, he's only 20 years old, Tim. He's not 20, not even 21. And I watched him running around last night, playing incredible defense, annoying defense, just kind of always right there. You drive you nuts when you get people like that. And he was going around and flipping things and doing this and doing that, and you just know that King James wanted to go over and put a thump on him, but he wouldn't be able to catch him anyway because the kid's pretty quick. But I watched him play, and I thought this Miami Heat is really a pretty good basketball team.
Yeah, Jimmy Butler put the team on his back in Game 3. 40 points, 13 and 15, something unbelievable. Yeah. I know Miami's down 3-1. I know everybody's saying it's over. I won't believe it's over till it's over because I don't think Jimmy's going to let it be over till it's over.
Well, I don't think so either. And I'm going to watch the game just because they're really fun to watch. Yeah. And the Heat is they're pressing. They're always there.
That annoyance.
Yes, they are very annoying.
Shall we talk a little Broncos?
Yes, please.
Well, last night, this is Wednesday night when we record the show. Last night, the girls swimming and diving team were at home. They took on Northeast Range. They won 95-66. First places, Grace Jensen in the 100 backstroke. Emma Erickson won twice, 200 free and 500 free. Jillian Bilbin, 50 free. She was the winner there. Haven Pelland, she won in the 100 fly. And I'm going to go out on a limb because I talked to my wife before I said this. Q-U-I, Anna. So Quiana or Kiana? Which one do you want to go with?
Kiana, I would guess.
He's going to say Kiana. I was going to say Kiana Ford. She was the winner in the 100 breaststroke. And the girls will be in Chisholm on Thursday night. Their season is getting close to the end. Mm-hmm. So cross-country teams, they were down at Greenway for the IRC meet. The first time that the IRC cross-country meet has not been held at Hoyt Lakes since Tim could ever remember. I don't remember the last time the IRC meet was not held at Hoyt Lakes. They held it in Greenway. The girls came in third as a team. Ryan Ford came in 7th, and Abby Hutchinson came in 10th, so they were all IRC. So congratulations to those two ladies. I think the Bronco boys came in 8th, if I remember right. I'm going off the top of my head on that one. And the big thing, though, about this, you know who Gino Urbaum is?
Yeah.
You know who Gino is from Greenway?
Yes.
Won the state last couple of years. Run. He got beat yesterday at the IRC.
He did.
He got beat by 8 seconds by a kid from Virginia, Cameron Stock.
Oh, I remember Stock, too. Yeah, he is...
Stocky, I'm not sure which way. Anyway, boy, is that going to set up a heck of a race at the sections.
Yeah, for sure.
Very exciting stuff to see. Bronco volleyball team, they get their season started on Thursday night at home. And there's 2 ways to watch that game, I believe. I believe that game could be on KCC TV if all the parts come in for Darcy and everything else. It is going to be available on YouTube. And if you go to the International Falls Broncos Facebook page, I've got a link there for that, for the YouTube page. Don't forget that the radio station is also going to be broadcasting many of these Bronco volleyball games. Matter of fact, I found out today they are going to be broadcasting 6 of those games. And of course, the radio station and KCC TV are working in conjunction. So if everything goes right for Darcy, you can watch those games on Midco Channel 7. Otherwise, you can watch them if you go to rjbroadcasting.com. Those 6 volleyball games, but all the volleyball games will be on that YouTube channel. There won't be announcers all the time, but there will always be a screenshot there, a camera up on the wall, so you can see what's going on and you can watch. Of course, right now, no fans at the volleyball games. Okay? So if you're going to watch this Bronco volleyball team under new head coach Sarah Peterson, who you know very well.
I do.
You will have to watch them not in person. You'll have to watch them electronically. So make sure that you look at the International Falls Bronco page. I've shared those links on my page, on that page. So make sure that you go and look for those if you want to watch the Bronco volleyball team at home this year. Bronco football team. they get their season started on Friday night. They've got to go to defending section champions, many times defending, although they lost a couple years ago, as I recall. But they go down and play Moose Lake Willow River at 7 o'clock on Friday night. That game, I'm being told, not to be carried video from the radio station because there's no place to plug into the internet.
No portals there.
However, there is a TV station, there is an internet TV station video that is coming in to do the game for Moose Lake. And if you go to International Falls Bronco page or you go to my Twitter page, there is a link there that you can click on. Will be obviously the announcers will be Moose Lake Willow River announcers, but at least you'll have a chance to watch the video. Of course, the radio station will be down there to do it for radio, but just not with the video. And so you've got all kinds of options to watch the Broncos on Friday night. They're coming off their 5-4 season last year, but like I said, they got a tough test with Moose Lake, and we'll see where this young team comes around because they're young in the backfield. Okay, some new guys on the perimeter for this football team. But what you're going to also see is you're going to see some guys up front in the line that have been there, but there's going to have to be a couple replacements in there. A couple kids didn't come back out for football and other things. So this team is going to be fun to watch, and I'm really looking forward to getting a chance to see what they can do. They alternate home and away games, so they're away this week, then they're home on Thursday the 15th against Mesabi East, who knocked them out of the playoffs last year. So that ought to be a heck of a ball game. Again, only 250 people per game, so it doesn't sound like many fans are going to get to come and watch, and I don't know what they're going to do about people outside of the fences because the State High School League says break them up, get them 6 feet apart. They no tailgating, no whatever around the fences. So I'm just saying, folks, don't kill the messenger. Okay, and then the Broncos go to Eveleth on the 23rd, play Virginia at home on the 30th. Go to Two Harbors the night before deer hunting starts, and then play Greenway at home on Thursday, the 12th of November. That's right, home game on Thursday, November 12th. Could be the latest game ever played at Sports Stadium.
Yeah, it will, yeah.
Which could be broke the following week because the Broncos will make the playoffs. Everybody will make the playoffs, which are on Tuesday the 17th and Saturday the 21st. So the Broncos still looking to get an 8-game season, and everything that says even if you lose that first playoff game, you're going to get to play a second playoff game because they want everybody to get to play 8 games. So it's going to be wild and wacky. Who knows what's going to happen with the virus because, of course, if one kid gets it on a Bronco team, that team's going to be done for 2 weeks because everybody's going to have to quarantine because everybody's up close and personal. So good luck to all the teams that are getting started. And a good luck to the swimming and volleyball or swimming and cross country teams because their seasons are going to be coming to an end. And of course, also since we last met, the State High School League got together and they set the winter and spring seasons because there's not going to be that 4th season now. So they reset the schedule, and it's different, George.
It is.
Hockey and boys basketball will start on boys hockey, and boys basketball will start on November 23rd. Okay, that seems okay. But then girls basketball doesn't start till December 7th. That's your first day of practice.
Usually the girls started a week before the boys.
Exactly. Now they're 2 weeks after. Why are they doing that? Well, they can't have everybody in the gyms at the same time. All this other stuff. So
I see.
We got to work through all this stuff. Boys swimming and diving, wrestling, and girls hockey start on November 30th. Okay? So you got all these things going on. Sounds like everybody's going to get an 18-game schedule. That's the plan. For boys basketball, girls basketball, boys hockey, and girls hockey, swimming and wrestling, and that I'm not sure how many contests they're going to get, how they're going to limit things, but looks like for now we're going to have winter sports starting late November. And I think I was talking with Coach Boyle. It sounded like there's no Christmas tournaments, no holiday tournaments per se, but he thought maybe that the girls basketball might not start games until January 1st. So, you're getting into Christmas there. You got to have your 2 weeks of practice and all this other stuff. So it's going to be an interesting, wild, wacky ride. Just when you think you're going to get to watch a basketball game, it's going to get canceled because of COVID or something, because the other school's got a case or whatever. We found out Fairmont this week basically had to shut down their entire sports programs because they had so many positive tests. One of the Grand Forks football teams had to shut down for a couple weeks because of what they've got going on. So as we get excited about Bronco sports getting going, we know that we're just one positive thing from it all falling apart.
Well, it could, and you know, and people are predicting that there's being an increase as we speak.
Yeah.
That it's picking up. But hey, I do wish those kids and those coaches. Hey, you guys are putting a lot on the line, and I know that you want to do this, and I know how important it is to you. So you know, good luck and
have some fun.
Fun.
Win some games. We'd love to be talking about.
We'd love doing that.
What you got on your shirt?
Oh, I never get a chance to. This is Billie Holiday, and Billie Holiday is one of my favorite blues singers, jazz singers, and I never get a chance to. You know, and people say, "What's that?" It's Billie Holiday. Who does she play for? Well, she kind of the Zodiac All Stars, but Billie is. Billie's very, very important to me, and I've been listening to her music for a long time, and I could tell you stories, but not with the camera.
I was listening to Patsy Cline this morning.
Oh, that's good.
Oh my goodness,
crazy!
And that wasn't even on there. Man, did she sound good?
Oh, she is. She is fantastic.
Of course. These have been sitting behind us the whole time. We're sitting a little further apart. Some people might say, "Well, geez, they're finally social distancing a little bit." But of course, we have to put Van Halen out there because, of course, Eddie Van Halen, 65, passed away here yesterday.
The man could serious pick, and you know, it's kind of like, what was your favorite Van Halen song? I like California Girls. And why California Girls? I thought that Eddie Van Halen was having fun. And this is Van Halen's band. This was not a serious rock band. This was a party rock band. And they
had fun.
And they really, really had a good time. You know, but I noticed, you know, a lot of these guys that we grew up with, or at least I grew up with, and they're entering the passing years. And so I've got just a short obituary for one of my favorite athletes growing up, and that's Bob Gibson.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, you know, he played in the era of Don Drysdale, Sandy Koufax, Bob Gibson, and you could probably toss a couple of Yankee pitchers in there, but for the most part, there was a group of pitchers that were really incredible. And so I call this segment High and Inside. So they always talked about Bob Gibson. Was a fantastic athlete. He came from Omaha, went to Cretin High School, or Cretin University. He was an All-American, averaged 20 points a game.
Played as a basketball player.
Played for 2 years with the Harlem Globetrotters, and then signed a contract with the St. Louis Cardinals and played for them for 17 years. Now, Bob Gibson was not a friendly sort on the field, and that was his teammates. That was towards his teammates. He was downright hostile to other people that came in. So I heard this story, and I think it came from Dusty Baker. And so the rookie is Dusty Baker. He's getting advice, and he says, number one, don't dig in. He don't like that. Don't look over the plate. He don't like that either. If he comes high and inside, don't eyeball him. He don't like that. It says, if you get a hit, do like you know that some guy is watching you go around and he hates you. And he had a really good pickoff move, and so if you were like young or a rookie or weren't deserving to hit his baseball, he is going to try to pick you off. And that was one of the clues somewhere. But he's really angry. If you hit a home run, lucky to hit a home run off him, don't run too fast. Certainly don't run too slow. Okay. And if you hit him, the last thing you want to do is rush the mound, because he was a Golden Gloves boxing champion as well, and that won't work out for you either. Tim McCarver, his catcher, they said, did you ever go out to the mound with him? He says, yes, once. And he says, what happened? He says, I walked out to the mound. Before I got to the mound, he says, what the hell do you want? You don't know nothing about pitching except you can't hit it. And McCarver went back, and these were good friends. He considered McCarver a very good friends. But you know, when he was on the mound, He was not a friendly competitor. He was. I think that you have to rate him up there, not quite up there, but he will be up there next to Ty Cobb.
Well, and and I think the thing about, you think about his '68 season. That's the one that's the golden year of the pitcher. That's when mound was at 15 inches high, and they knocked it down to 10 inches the following year because the pitchers were so dominant. But they talked, and I'm not going to get this right because I read it and didn't write it down. But they talked, I think, in 1968 in July, August, and September, the last 3 months of the season, he started like 18 games, and he had complete games in 18 of those games.
18 of those games.
And he won like 16 of those games. And the numbers were incredible. If you want to go look them up. But it was just kind of like, it was mind-boggling.
He had 17 strikeouts in the last game against the Tigers. Now, you can't get 27 no matter how hard you try. You just, and so he was that overbearing. Yeah. He just, and on top of that, he was an excellent hitter. They would put him in as a pinch hitter from time to time. Okay. He had 24 home runs for a career. 1 year he hit 303. 1 year he hit 303 with 5 home runs for a pitcher. That's not bad. And and so, but it's one of those things where the stories just kind of roll off of each other, and I've been hearing them for years. And when you heard that somebody took Bob Gibson out. Now, see, if he would have played football, he would have been a champion. If he would have been a boxer, he would have been a champion. If he would have stayed in basketball, he would have been a champion. I'm glad he picked baseball because he was really, really good at that. But he was a man who was meant to be champion. On top of that, he and Curt Flood and Lou Brock, 3 black people in St. Louis, really, because at the time when he broke in, they still had to go to a different hotel. They wouldn't let him stay with the team, and they and those 3 men changed that promptly. They were very good. They're all in the Hall of Fame. I'm not sure about Curt Flood, but he should be.
He probably should be. If he isn't.
Yeah. Anyway,
what do you got? Anything else, man? We must be burning up the time. Oh yeah, we're good.
Okay. Ron Peranowski. He was a left-handed reliever, played for the Dodgers, and he was with the Twins for 3 years, and went on to be. But in the '60s, Peranowski was always the guy that they brought in. In fact, I think he was the pitcher that closed against the Twins in '65.
Sounds right. I think I read that.
Yeah. But the old left-hander. He left us too. So we've had Al Kaline, Lou Brock, Bob Gibson, Drysdale not that long ago, but these were all these great guys, and it's just I said to the guru today, these were all our boyhood heroes. He says, I know, and they're going much too fast.
I got to look this up and see when Drysdale actually passed away. Let's see. Guess be able to spell Drysdale correctly. My goodness, did I not? Don Drysdale, there it is. Holy smoke. Do you know when he died? 1993. How's that possible?
Holy cow,
that's 27 years ago.
Almost 30 years ago.
Goodness gracious. Anyway,
hey, I'll tell you.
Time flies when we're having fun.
Sandy Koufax is still there.
Yeah. So, anything else?
That's about all I think I got on my list.
Yeah, it was a busy week. The piece of paper was filled very, very simply. So.
It was. Right now, the Vikings are rated 23rd, and I think that's high.
I was going to say that's about right.
We'll see, but I'm who knows? We'll watch Saturday night. Or Sunday night. I got nothing else to do, and so Saturday I have to admit, football starts at 11 and it ends about 11 as well. So there's a lot of football on Saturday.
Lots of football on Saturday.
Yes.
Thanks everybody for sticking with us after the
safe out there. That's big.
Stay safe hiatus week, and we'll talk to you guys next time.